I'm sorry. Awesome. So before we start getting into the integrations that are there with Glyphic, it's like good to understand how Glyphic as a system is built. So Glyphic as a platform has both backend and frontend, and both backend and frontend are on separate places. So Glyphic has a text split text tech architecture where backend and frontend are at different places, and they both are talking to each other using API calls. So, like everybody in the call knows what API is usually. Yes, no, even
Yes,
I'm not.
yes.
Cool. Is there anybody who doesn't know what APIs are? Okay, maybe I'll just summarize simplify what API is. So API is a mechanism which helps two software components to talk to each other. So for example, if I want, if I'm creating a weather app, so I might not be ending up putting sensors in every place where there are multiple other applications already tracking weather. So I'll use their API for my app and build certain features over it. So APIs are used for two software components to talk. So even in a Glyphic architecture, Glyphic backend, frontend, and several other things are talking to each other using APIs. So it is very, very easy for Glyphic to actually integrate any and every platform. So we can integrate Bhashini, OpenAI, Google Translate, or any websites, apps, anything using by doing this API integration. So that's how all the integrations in Glyphic are possible. So to start with, we are going to talk about one integration which is called integration with different databases. So here I'm going to take examples of two organizations, Bandhu and Udyam. So Bandhu is an organization who gives affordable housing options to people who are migrating from other places. So like generally, if I'm a migration worker, I'll go and ask share my requirement on Bandhu's chatbot, and the request is actually going to hitting Bandhu's backend, like their database, and picking the information from there and sending me the answer. So that way, Bandhu is able to integrate their database and make the chatbot answer more things which are just beyond the chatbot, because like my data might not be in a contact profile or might not be in a regular flow of Bandhu, but it's hitting the database every time and getting the answers. And similar to that, we have again Udyam. Udyam is an organization which builds entrepreneurial mindsets in children. So they have like a set of programs, there are different steps which a group of students which a group of students should carry, and at the end of the program they'll get a seed money to actually start a business on their own. So they have created a separate application by themselves where the students teacher can assign students in different groups. So one integration is they have a separate application which is talking to a chatbot and assigning students in different collections or different groups, or assigning different contact variables for them. Two, at different places, once the students are completing certain milestones, they get certain certificates or points, which are again coming, the data is coming from a database, because all their Udyam's database is completely BigQuery. So they are getting data back from BigQuery and customizing. They have like this basic certificate template, and the name which you can see, name and the city, this information is coming from the database and sticking it and like sending it. So it's like a more personalized information that the student is getting, personalized certificate that the student is getting, but all this information is coming from database. Any questions on this?
Hi.
Okay, hi.
Is the certificate shared on the phone? How is it
The
shared on
certificate
WhatsApp
is shared on Glyphic chatbot, like Udyam's
or on
chat.
the chat
Yes.
as a PDF, as an image?
They share it as an image.
Oh,
So this is something that we have also been trying to do, but like we want to see if more organizations have this request, and like probably if you are willing to contribute certain consulting, so we would be happy to like contribute to half of it, and like then get this as a feature for all the educational logs, because this can be something which at least the educational logs can benefit out of it. Cool. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to the next. The second thing is CRM. So CRMs are like it's more like getting all your data in one place in a manner which is easier for you to understand later on what the progress is happening. So we have few organizations who have implemented like integrated Glyphic chatbot with a particular CRM. Like, and most like some of them have implemented Frappe. So Reap Benefit, TAB, JJM Assam, Sneha, AT Chandra Foundation. So these are few organizations who have implemented CRM. So I'll give examples of two organizations, how they have used CRMs or integrated CRMs. One is Reap Benefit and JJM Assam. They in collaboration have actually integrated their chatbot data, and their chatbot data is actually going to a CRM, which is Frappe. And on CRM, they try to use this data, uh, calculate it, and try to create different user profiles and leaderboards. So if you can see here, so it's more like a Facebook of their own. So they try to, based on the like Rebenefit and JJ Masam are into civic integration, like civic participation, like where they want people like us to be active change makers. So they use the data from the chatbot, like the different actions that the people are doing. They consolidated that into a CRM, and based on the points that they gather, based on the number of activities that they create, they have mapped into a skill badges and everything. So every person, every change maker have a profile on their own on their CRM. So this is one beautiful way in which Rebenefit and JJM Assam have done, and this have actually helped them to solve many more problems, and which is like a great motivation for their users. The second thing is again a tech for dev product, which is Dalgo. So Dalgo, like, is there anybody in the group who doesn't know what Dalgo does?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I do.
Okay, yeah. Dalgo is again a product of Project Tech for Dev. What Dalgo does is every organization might have different data sources. For example, one, you have a chatbot running where you are getting certain user data. And the same user data you might be getting from your other stakeholders in a form of a Google Sheet or in a Google Form or from a Kobo Box or from a Avni or from some other database. So there are multiple sources from which you are getting the data. What Dalgo does is you can inject all the data into Dalgo, and Dalgo helps in injecting, like transforming the data that you have, like in a kind of, I can say, to simplify it, like a clean up or map the data, like make it into a much consolidated form. And you can visualize or project it on any platform of your choice. So people can project it further on Tableau, Power BI, or Looker Studio, or anything wherever they want. So some of our organizations, like we have Sneha, TAP, AT Chandra Foundation, who are using Dalgo. So they are integrating their other data's information and putting it in Dalgo. So the person, like their user who is on Glyphic, they are able to get like a overall data of that particular user as well. So it can talk either ways. Again, the data from Dalgo can further be used to show it on Glyphic, like, hey, you have completed this on an overall basis. So that overall holistic information of the user can be shared back with the user and put it into a system. So the one way which TAP is using is they are using like students' performance on Glyphic platform versus their other data which on the student that they are getting from schools. They are putting it in Dalgo, and now they have decided the levels of the student based on the performance of the student, or like the data that they get from different places. And based on the levels of the children, they want to further send customized or personalized activities based on the level of the student, so that the chances of student progressing and completing things is much higher. So this is another implementation. Any questions on both of it or in general on CRMs? Cool, then probably we can move. The third integration that some of our orgs have done is integrating with their mobile apps. So a lot of some of our organizations have their own mobile apps and they're using chatbot to basically nudge people to use a mobile app. So they have like a very comprehensive mobile app which have like a lot of activities, lot of information that can be catered to them, but they are using one chatbot to nudge people to the mobile app. That's one way. So Top Parent, which is now Nudge, and Pehle Akshar Foundation, they have their own mobile apps. And Top Parent have seen like a 60% increase in their registration once they started using chatbot to nudge. So when a parent logs into a Top Parent app and have left the registration in between, they are, because they have the mobile number, they are using it to send a message on their WhatsApp saying like, hey, you have left the registration in between, probably you might want to complete. That way they have actually increased their registrations. So this is a theory that can be used for anything. You have a website or you have any external applications where you have the registrations or any sort of data like that you're collecting to nudge people through WhatsApp. This is one powerful way. And we have another organization called, again, A.T. Chandra Foundation. So A.T. Chandra Foundation works with field workers on water rejuvenation, and they are using another app called Avni. So A.T. Chandra uses chatbot to answer queries of Avni. And also whenever a person logs into Avni, they automatically gets a message on their WhatsApp. They take consent, but they automatically gets a message on WhatsApp like, hey, you have logged into Avni and this is your password and whatever. So that way they have integrated both their things where like people who are Avni are automatically on the chatbot, and they are also using chatbot to support Avni's queries. So this is another way where the mobile app integration is happening. Like any thoughts, any questions, or any possibilities that you think that you have?
Can we use this to also send nudges based on some scheduler? Say if the application that is possible.
Yes, yes. So basically, we are just making these two things talk, right? Like Glyphic
Yeah.
chat and a mobile app. So you can schedule in whatever way you want. So one example, close example is Pehle Akshar Foundation. So they have an application where they want to train teachers on practicing English regularly. So if a teacher is not using a app for X number of days, so they get a nudge on their WhatsApp saying like, hey, you haven't used in X number of days. So that way they have scheduled it based on a criteria. You can set based on a date or a time or whatever.
Okay, and this integration is directly between the application and Glyphic. There's no middleware sort of
No,
application. Not.
it's direct. So, like in your Glyphic platform, in your flows, if you like in any one of the notes, if you can open and explore, there's an option called Caller Webhook. So, Caller Webhook is where like we actually integrate things. So once that is set, like it's direct integration.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, we have another another person.
Yeah. Hi. So when you use Scholar Webbook, it's for example, just an example use case. Hey, you haven't logged into to the app in 7 days. Click here to log in, and then it directly works. Something
Yes,
like that.
yes.
That's essentially what a webhook does, right?
Yes. So there are like different ways. Like one is yeah, so it actually checks the mobile app how many days it wasn't active and then sends the message accordingly. So you can do multiple ways. Like you can see at what point they stopped in a flow if it's a registration and then nudge accordingly. So you can do different ways of things. But answering your question, yes. Anything else that you have? Cool. We can then go to the next integration. Exertel. So I don't know how many of you have heard what Exertel is. So Exertel is a IVR system, which like IVR is basically when you get to a different call, like press 1 to do this, press 2 to do this, etc. So one very interesting integration that some of our orgs, Reap Benefit, Bharat Rohan and Digital Green have done is they have integrated their chatbot with Exertel. The way the integration works is I can give a missed call on my number. It's basically hitting Exertel. And once I give a missed call, then I automatically get a message on my WhatsApp. Like they have used it for opt-in, like making their opt-in much more easier. So instead of people actually saving your number and sending a keyword or like scanning or clicking on a link, Exertel is one effective way where people can just give a missed call and they can get a message from the bot itself. So post you get the first message from the bot, anyways, we have to ask for the consent and the other processes will follow. But this will ease the number of steps that the people have to take for logging in. And this would be super effective if you have like a very large scale programs or probably collaborating with government or big partners where you are reaching to so many people instead of giving like a lot of steps, giving like, hey, give a missed call to this number and you can get things done. So this particular dashboard that you see is by Reap Benefit when they were in collaboration with our Delhi Sarkar on like Paryavaran Mitra program. So they have like within a couple of months they were able to get almost 10,000 missed calls. That's like their versus the like they got like a 60% increase in the speed or the time taken versus the regular route. So this is one powerful way which can help you ease your onboarding process. Any questions, thoughts? Yes, Uchi.
So we did this for one of our campaigns. Like it was only a POC of sorts. But one confusion that I think this might just help other people who are looking to create a similar use case. So because I think for the first time user on WhatsApp, you cannot send HSM messages, right? But for opt-in, we prefer HSM messages. Or is my understanding correct?
See, even for the first time user, you can technically send a HSM message. But again, it goes with like slightly a risk where like people are not responding to it and they are actually blocking you. So if
Yeah.
you have taken like here, the missed call is a kind of soft consent that they are giving. Like, hey, I'm interested in this particular thing. Then like when you're sending the first message on the chatbot, you can then ask them for the consent again, and which you can save in the settings and stuff.
Yeah,
So
so
this
that's
was a
exactly
kind of
what we
soft
also
consent.
did. Yeah, but just confirming, so opt-in should be through HSM, right? One is that. That's correct,
Yes.
right? And you're saying so HSM will any which way because we did face this bottleneck. I think for some of our HSM messages that we tried reaching out to a new user again for opt-in.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a auto trigger case, so maybe this might be slightly different. But for say if we are pushing a message for to a particular collection, and these some of them are first time users, then
Mm-hmm.
HSM messages weren't getting delivered. And I think in one of the support calls, I was told that we should use interactive messages in such cases.
But like, what's the difference that you're trying? Like, HSM message can also have an interactive elements, right? Like, HSM message also can have
Yeah,
button.
no, that is correct. I'm just saying technically, HSM might not be delivered to a first time user. Because
It should
there are
mostly
I'm not
get,
very sure.
maybe we can like delve deep into your case, like, or maybe get the numbers of people like to whom it was not delivered. But technically, it should like one here in this case, it's auto trigger, as you rightly said. But technically, like we have organizations who take consent from the users in separate platforms. Like we have Lahi, RKF, like multiple organizations who take consent from users at a different platform and
Hmm.
they create a collection and then trigger a message, like the first message from there, and it's working fine for them. So
Yeah.
in case, I just want to see like what must have happened, but in general, it's possible.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Hmm. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
This is Puneet. When you say trigger a message, so for example, me as a user, I I'm I want to consent and I'm giving a missed call to a number, and when you say trigger a message, I'm getting a message on WhatsApp through this particular organization.
Yeah, for example, this is ReBenefit. I
Okay.
have their chatbot number. I
Okay.
have to give a missed call, like a normal missed call, not a WhatsApp missed call, normal missed call to them.
Right.
And then I'll get a message from ReBenefit on my WhatsApp. If the
Oh,
same number
wow.
exists on WhatsApp, of course.
Okay. That means, so imagine if this integration was not there, I won't be able to do that, right? Unless and until I send that first trigger message that they get from me as a user. I won't be able to do that, correct?
See, you would be able to do, but without a consent, it's not suggested to do. The reason being, so generally, the reason why we ask to have all the first messages to be user initiated is
Right.
because
Yeah.
if I'm a business, I'm sending a message to you as a user, and if you're reporting or blocking my bot,
Correct.
okay,
Yes.
if there are few users who are reporting and blocking my bot, then generally what Meta does is Meta might block my whole bot and say like, hey, you are like spamming your users or something, like users are reporting about you. Can you show me the consent? So if you don't have a consent at that point, that's a problematic situation. So in this case, again, the reason like the missed call acts like a soft consent. So generally, if I give a missed call, there are very less chances that I'll block that number, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's the reason like this missed call approach is working. So missed call is more like user is initiating a message that you can consider, but like technically on a bot, like the users, like the business will first send the message.
Oh, understood. Okay. That means it is
See, even
possible,
like
but
a
it is not.
normal cases you can send, like because we receive like a lot of messages every single day, right, from a random number. But
Yes.
that increases the risk of people reporting or blocking your bot. Hence, we do not recommend it to any organization. We say like, hey, first take the consent. Otherwise, there is a very high risk, and we have seen like recently two organizations who have faced this bot blocking issue.
Right. I agree. Correct. Correct. No, true. But you're telling through Glyphic it is possible, but it's not recommended.
Yeah, it is possible, but it's not recommended. Like we don't
Understood.
recommend.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Suchi, you raised hand again.
Yeah, just a follow up question on that. So we in one of the support calls we recently had this interaction with, I think, Gautam.
Okay.
So he was sharing that there is some and that's the technical part I'm not very sure about. But when we are setting up a HSM message and when we are sending it to say a first time user without for opt-in, let's say without a trigger or something, without like a integration with Exotel. And if the organization is doing this for prototyping purpose, so he mentioned something that the as in the WhatsApp itself will or Meta itself will send it to a few users just to see how the response is, and then the entire collection gets activated. Is my understanding correct? I remember him vaguely mentioning this, but this yeah,
I
just
am
for
not
clarification.
sure of that information. Like I haven't heard at least. So maybe I can check with Gautam and like ask Sangeeta or Gautam to communicate back to you because I'm not very sure. Like I haven't heard of that information.
Cool. I can also check with Sangeeta. That's okay.
Yeah, you can like she will coordinate it. Cool. We can move to our next integration. The other integration is with external websites. So again, as I said, with any website, like provided you have access to their API documentation and you can integrate their APIs, you can use any or every system to integrate with Glyphic. So these are like two powerful use cases, like probably one powerful use case which was implemented by Digital Green and Bharat Rohan. So Digital Green and Bharat Rohan, both the organizations work with farmers and help farmers to make a better agricultural yield. So one of the things that they have realized is like, hey, like a lot of times like farmers do not know what's the weather condition in there, and like they might, like if there is a flood alert, and they might not end up knowing, and they might be planning other things accordingly. So to avoid that situation, they started sending weather updates to farmers on through their chatbot. Again, they have integrated with an external system, like because we have a lot of websites out there which have API, like which shows weather updates. So here, like if a farmer, like every time they used to send like, hey, this is the next 1 week's weather condition, and like what is the detail of it? Like, is it fine or is it not? Here, if you see, like it's in a different language, but it says like, hey, it's a good weather, you can actually continue doing stuff. So this is how you can integrate any external website as well, just not this. Like for example, like there are few organizations who have data or policies on a different websites, or like counselor details on different websites, and you want to redirect people or like get information from that website, even that's possible. Okay, I'll move ahead. The other thing is Bhashini. So Bhashini is an organization, it's the Government of India initiative, and Bhashini have multiple services where, especially for Indic languages, it has a lot of speech to text, text to speech to speech, text to text, like a different translation, transliteration, different services that Bhashini as an organization provides. So Bhashini integration is like we are in a conversation, like we are in conversation with Bhashini, where like we have done a lot of integrations where you can, like through a simple webhook, you can actually do a speech to text. So we have multiple organizations who have already implemented it, like Lahi, Quest Alliance, FMCH. So one way is like in the screenshot, if you can see, I have got a message like say congratulations. I just submitted a picture and I got like congratulations and all. And the same message I'm getting as an audio note, so that like people who are not very comfortable reading long text, they get like the speech to text automatically that is being done and sent. And the other use case which Lahi implemented is they collect student feedback through voice notes, because students are comfortable in voice notes. But for a person who is sitting at Lahi and to analyze every data and to understand what students are trying to say and what's the student feedback looking like, it's a very tedious task. So there also we integrated Bhashini, where the students' voice notes are converted into text and are written in a Google Sheet, so that it's easier for a person to just read through it and get a glimpse of what the students are trying to say. So, like again, there are multiple other ways. Like on translations, we have used Bhashini extensively. So transliterations are possible. Like a lot of different possibilities are there with Bhashini integration. There are similar other services in the market, like Navana Tech, which does similar things to what Bhashini does. But the advantage, like one of the advantage that Bhashini gives is their services are better in terms of like better compared to Navana Tech, or like the way they communicate is better than Navana Tech or any others in the market. And Bhashini is doing for like it's specialized in Indic languages and majorly working with a lot of non-profits. So their integration is much better than the others. Any questions? Yeah, Puneet.
Hi. Yeah, actually, this is pretty interesting, and in one of the project we are trying to do this. One question I had was, so for example, if I, okay, a bit of context here. Usually, one thing I would need your opinion on this as well. So if we are going to do any survey in rural areas, we have assumed that they would prefer a audio response compared to a text response, right?
Mhm.
So what? Okay, under this assumption, we thought, okay, fine. Let's. So there are some questions which are text response, and some are interactive messages, and some are audio messages. Okay, and when I designed the workflow, so it's a very big survey. I would say around there are 20 questions, and have modularized the flow from one flow to another, one flow to another. So for example, if I get a speech, so there are so many audio messages which I'll be receiving through these questions, and in every flow I will have to like every question I will have to call Bhashini, like as in I have to add that function and then call that API and then store that result somewhere, like in a one variable, correct? So what I wanted to ask you was, can I create a flow called speech transcription? And if there is a question that is there, I can call that flow, transcribe that speech, and then move on to the next question. Is that possible?
What you're saying is if somebody sends, like if a user sends a question and you
No,
want,
I am sending the question. The user is responding in audio,
okay,
right? So currently the workflow is that I'll have to store that result, send that result to Bashini, extract that information, put that in Google Sheet, and there are these 3-4 steps that I have to do. Correct?
right.
Yeah. What I was asking you was, is if there is a possibility of the input variable to Bashini being dynamic, so that all I have to do is call a workflow within the Glyphic to transcribe a message, and not build every time these blocks of speech to text conversion and call Bashini. I'm not sure if that is possible, but I just wanted to ask you.
I have to check with the developers once and get back. And I'm assuming like it is possible. Like there are different ways to simplify it.
Okay.
So I can check with developers and get back to you on this for sure. Sangeeta, are you on call? So, Puneet, which org are you from?
Satwa Consulting.
Tatva. Yeah. So Sangeeta, like once we check with the developers, can you circle it back to Puneet?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks so
And
much.
also Suchi's question on the login. Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah. And like Puneet, and another question which another point which I just wanted to add, like which is slightly different from what we are talking is like where you said like you are going with an assumption like audio notes will work for your users. There are like different counter arguments also to it. Like for example,
Okay.
audio, like when you send a lot of audio notes, like people have like a very basic smartphone, they might not have a lot of storage as well, like to download all your audio notes. And second thing is on the internet issues, and like there are other like cons of using audio as well. So
Oh,
you
sorry.
can,
I think I told. I think I didn't phrase it properly. We want audio from them. We are not sending any audio. We
Acha,
are
acha,
only
okay.
sending text. Yeah.
Then okay, so
Yeah.
good.
So, do you think that would be is that a better option to ask for an audio response compared to a text response in rural areas?
uh like again, that's an assumption. So my one of my suggestions would be like also look, test your assumptions. Like there's a feature called A/B testing, split by
Right.
random chance. So
Got it.
probably like test it, like asking an audio and a text and see what people are comfortable with. With a logical sense, like even I feel ki people are comfortable with audio, but we don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the reason I would suggest to test before us going ahead with assumptions.
Cool. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Now
I wanted to know one thing. If we are sending an audio, so will Bhashni will we will have to add it in our wait for response as well. If we are sending the audios to them, so we will have to integrate with them for the wait for response, or it will be integrated directly.
so what do you mean by integrated direct? Like I didn't understand when you're sending them why there's a wait for response.
So basically, we majorly use buttons in our flows. We work with buttons. So when we use button, so wait for response is the must thing. So if we are sending them an audio, and in return, children are also sending an audio. So can we use buttons over there, or we will have to go with audios only?
So audio, like you can't club buttons with audio. I don't know if I answered that. Like if you're sending, like generally with buttons, you can send only like a text, like a simple, like maybe a one-liner text, and then you can add audio to it. So you can't club all the three in one go. So you might want to send both in such cases.
Okay.
Yeah. And one thing which we will do post call is we'll also send you like a demo flow of Bhashni integration. So you can like import in your respective platforms and try it to see how it is working. So that you can also play around and see if it's working as per your requirement or not.
Will be really helpful.
Yeah, I will share that post call. Like along with the recording of this call, I'll share that.
Okay.
Cool. Cool. Now on the LLM integration. So we have been doing a lot of experiments on LLM since last 1 year. So there are different ways. Like again, I'll be covering only a few cases here for you to get an overall glimpse of different LLM integrations that are possible. But again, all these integrations, one thing which I want you to remember from this whole webinar, if there's one takeaway that which I want you to have is, any and every system can be integrated if you have the API documentation. You just have to think of different possibilities and check with us like, hey, is this possible to integrate or not? So don't limit yourself ki, acha, these are the only 7 that are possible. Just think ki, acha, like I want to do this. Is it possible? So we can see like if it can benefit from an integration or something else. So in LLM integration, I'll be sharing like a few integrations that are happening. One, Udhyam. So again, the Udhyam organization, which I mentioned earlier, they are conversing directly with ChatGPT. So if a kid is asking any question outside the regular flow, or they have a keyword with a particular flow, the answers are directly coming from ChatGPT. So Udhyam as an organization is currently comfortable with getting information directly from ChatGPT. But like a lot of times, you might not want the user to have access to everything under the sky. So you might want to contextualize your information, or you want to provide the information from a particular knowledge base that you have curated. So that's another thing which is possible called GPT file search. So again, this is one integration which we done where you can update the knowledge base. So you can basically define the brain of the chatbot saying like, hey, this is your brain. So any question coming with this in this circle, you can answer. If things are coming outside, you don't need to answer. And you can also prompt by saying like, hey, this is how you need to answer, this is how you can't answer, etc. So we have different organizations like Sneha, Vedas, Rocket Learning, Circles of Safety, like different organizations are using. So one example, if I can use of Sneha here. So Sneha is an organization which works with mothers on sharing the importance of immunization. So if any questions that the mothers have on immunization, so Sneha have updated a knowledge base from different websites that they have. And that knowledge is mothers can ask the question in a natural language. It can be as an audio, as a text. And that audio or a text is again understood and checked with knowledge base. And the reply can come again in the form of a text or a voice note. So this way you can actually use the power of GPT to give personalized response to them in their natural language. So that's one. The other implementation that we have done recently, we are still in an experimenting stage, is called GPT Vision. So we have Kiran from INRAIN on this call. Kiran, do you want to brief on what was the experiment that you have done with GPT Vision? Kiran, are you there? Sangeeta, do we have Kiran on call?
Krishna, I think he dropped off.
Okay, maybe I can brief on GPT Vision on how INRAIN and KEF are doing this. So INRAIN is an organization which works on ensuring good quality water to all citizens. So one way is like people can actually send the image of a water body and get the problems. In this case, if you see, they have sent this particular picture, and through GPT Vision, we were able to tell like what is the particular area that the water is there, where the algae is there, etc. They have also done another experiment where where there's a picture of skin problem that is being sent, and GPT was able to clearly identify like what the problem might be and like what are the suggestive next steps. And we are doing a similar experiment with an organization called Key Education Foundation, where the students submit different work activities that they do. They take a picture of it and send to the bot, and the bot is able to tell like, hey, these are the different, like, again, you have to do this prompt on what the student feedback should be. So student gets an instant feedback saying like, hey, this is what, this is the image that you have sent and this could have been done better, etc. So there's an instant feedback mechanism that can be possible through GPT Vision. And there's also another experiment that we are doing with KEF where they have a persona for their bot. They have like a mascot where like there are two images talking to each other, etc. So earlier they had like a designer who actually drew all those images. Now using GPT vision, we were able to auto generate those pictures. So it will save a lot of time, bandwidth, and money resources to the organization. So again, GPT vision in a very experimenting stage, but it has been giving great results till now. Any questions, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I have a question. Sorry for jumping in. I
No
should
worries.
have put my hand up.
No worries.
Like, do you already have like some sort of guardrails, like to prevent like erroneous misuse of the LLM? Because like there are a lot of cases where like people are kind of trying to jailbreak the LLM and trying to get whatever responses they want and using it more as like a general GPT-4 rather than like a user specific sort of an LLM. So are there guardrails already in place in Glyphic, or like there has to be like a guardrail API that needs to check the input first and then move the flow forward?
So, like answering your question, basically it's all about how your knowledge base is defined and how you're prompting that particular um, prompting the chatbot. So if there are any questions that are coming, which the which is not in the purview of the chatbot, then you can actually ensure that the chatbot is not answering such questions or not directly picking it from GPT and answering only the right questions.
Okay,
So
so it's more of an intrinsic filter, right? Like like a filter on the chat bot flow itself.
yes, yes. So it's a filter that is there, like where you can actually put like, hey, anything beyond it you can't answer. And like we are trying to make it as much like strict as possible rather than like picking it from anywhere outside the knowledge base.
Yeah. So like there are like some sort of methods which kind of relay between like the LLM and the system itself. Like for example, like regexes of course can work to a certain extent, but beyond that, you kind of have to ask the LLM that do you think this is harmful or do you think this is like a jailbreak attempt? Like you can relay between the chatbot and like the categories of the inputs that are coming in. So I think that can be one way.
Right now, it's majorly like we have like a I'm not getting the term right, but there's a like a range like where I can put it as low as possible, saying like, hey, anything if the input is anything in this range, please do not answer. And like as far as our experiments are going on, it's giving good results. It's not going beyond what is given to it or like
Okay. Then
answering anything.
in that case, I'll wait for the experiment results and see the procedure before actually the
No,
deployment.
I would actually
Uh,
suggest you participate in the experiment, like probably with even within your internal team. Like just
sure.
probably put your knowledge base and
Yeah.
like because it's again like the whole LLM game is like that. Like you
Yeah,
can't
it is.
stop it after a certain point. Like sometimes it crosses the border. It's very deterministic in nature. So
Yeah, it is. It
somewhere you
is.
have to just figure out like so that's what like we have been doing experiments with different prompts, different systems, everything. So GPT file search, which we have recently launched, is giving better results than our earlier Jugalbandi approach. So you
All
can
right.
actually, like, I would suggest try it with your internal team, try for a couple of times and actually see before launching it with your end users, or maybe with your end users, take it in alpha beta range.
Sure. That makes more sense. Yeah, but like if you have like I have already run experiments, I would be like eager to know what like results, what kind of results are you guys getting, because that will be really helpful.
Two things which I can do is I can share like a couple of blogs on the different experiments that we have done with different dogs. Again, these would be like we will be creating more blogs as and when we do the experiments. So I can share whatever information that we have till now. I don't like, have you tried file search, open file search?
No, not really. Like I was just like seeing if like the current user base can be used like to like initiate or like used in some of the chat flows that we have.
Yeah, maybe like even if you're not sharing it with your users, you can start with your internal testing ones and see if it's actually giving the results that you want.
Sure,
Uh,
sure, sure.
but like we have organizations which are directly launching with users and are giving decent results. So along with the recording of this webinar, I'll also share a few documentation and blogs that we have on ChatGPT where you can read and get a better sense of how things are.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
Krishna, I had a question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about one of these organizations using Glyphic to kind of look into skin conditions and whatnot.
It's in RIM.
Sorry?
In RIM.
Yeah. Yeah. So these guys, so did they give the chatbot like a bunch of images to kind of diagnose this person with a certain thing? So my question is, I can see that happening for us is with identification of snakes.
Mhm.
But so basically, but the issue with us is people are at like a distance as well. And even on our chatbot now, I've seen people sending pictures of snakes and asking for IDs when the snake is like, a few meters away where you can barely see the patterns of the snake. So for something like that, although this is interesting, how much can you stretch this? I think for things that are closer, yes, photograph is good. But what if things are a bit more far off? Like with snakes and stuff, not everybody is comfortable going right up close and taking a picture. Which is why, everything you've suggested, although a lot of ways we can integrate it, I'm thinking, what else can we do for us as well? Exotel is something I think we'll do eventually in the next couple of months. But yeah, these other ideas, yeah, and also LLM in general using. Anyway, yeah. So what do you think? Yeah, you can. um,
Honestly, I don't know. Like, only we have to just try.
hmm,
So, this is one thing which I suggest to all the others. Like, okay, let's try. Let's,
hmm,
like, you have to train the chatbot with different images or different knowledge base that you want. Like,
hmm,
in
hmm,
this, in case of photos, it's more like you're training with the pictures and stuff, right?
hmm, hmm, hmm,
So, like, again, we have to only when we test and like do like a small POC, we'll be in a position to understand, hey, is it even working for you or not? Like for you, like when you mention it's at a certain distance,
hmm,
like I
hmm,
don't know about the clarity of the picture. I don't know like how much the GPT would be able to
hmm,
analyze stuff. So it's a good idea to probably do like a small POC,
hmm,
understand how it is working, and then like keep on adding more pictures and like testing if it's working or not before you
hmm.
actually take a decision. So start small, but just start. That's the only way you'll know.
Yeah.
Because
Ye-
even if somebody who's working with GPT vision very extensively, they'll still be able to only guess. We have to
hmm.
only see once we add things.
And a lot of them are also using location-based services, right? Where the user gives them a location, and based on the location, they're able to give certain info. So
That's
how
our next. That's my next slide.
okay, all
I'll
right.
share on
Okay, fine, sorry.
that. Cool. Any other questions on this before I move next?
Um, I think, yeah, no, not yet. Yeah, just go on, go on.
No worries. Anybody else? Cool. So this is the next feature that one of the next features that we are working on, where like a lot of times, like where you would have to ask a user for a for their state, or district, village, mandal, school name, etc. And a lot of times you have like multiple options that can be given. And for example, if you want to just give a districts of one state, which is Maharashtra, there are like so many districts in Maharashtra. So it's always difficult to have like multiple lists that is given, or if you want people to type it and they will type 100 different spellings and your data will get spoiled. So this is one feature that we are going to launch in this quarter, like mostly by August, and you should be able to see it out. So the way it works is right now we have done it in a different way, but we'll try to make it more user friendly for you to implement in your flows. We still have like a demo flow of even this, which I'll be sharing with this recording. So so in interactive messages, when you're creating interactive message, you must have seen right now there are three options apart from list, buttons. There's a third option called location. So because earlier the problem is if you ask user for the location, a lot of people don't know how to send the location as well, like because it's a 4-step process. They have to send on attachments, and then there's a map option, there's a live, and the other option they have to click on this. And like a lot of users do not know how to do this. So this is one amazing thing which Meta have come out with, like send location, where I can just click on it and my location, the current location would be auto send. But again, the provided user should have the GPS on. If the user don't have GPS on, then the nudge will come like, hey, you have to keep your GPS on, etc. So once the location is sent, then we are giving like this basic details like, hey, you're in this region, and this region is based on the Google Maps. So you are in this region, this district, and this state. Right now, as a phase 1 of this particular feature, we'll be giving these 3 basic details. And once you guys start using it and you tell us like what are the levels of information that you want. For example, you want like for a gram panchayat, for a block or a village. So there can be different minute details that we can capture, right? So only once you start using it, and if you tell us like, hey, these are the other requirements, and we see like more organizations have that requirement, we'll take that in phase 2. But in phase 1, you can expect this to be happening. But even now you'll be able to do it. We'll be sending you a demo flow on that, which you can import and try it in your flows. Any questions? Awesome.
So,
Yeah,
oh,
Puneet.
sorry.
No,
Uh, just one. So yeah, this was one of the other integration that we were trying. I
Mhm.
think at an intuitive level, for all the people who tested this, I think there is some that permission setting, right? So every time they had to, I felt that was uh, like a flow break in the flow. So we
Yeah.
added that in the end of the questionnaire and not in the beginning, so that
Okay.
they say like yeah. But yeah, this is a good integration. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, those problems would always be there, Puneet, to be honest. Like that's something
Correct.
like probably you might want to like train or reiterate in your messages.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. And next, you tell us, do you have any ideas? Do you like more than ideas? Do you have any problems that you think integration can solve? So that we'll make a note of it and see like if more organizations are facing this issue or like more organizations can benefit from it, we'll definitely consider in our backlog.
So I had one question about the geocoding, like the feature. Uh, you said you will be you like integrating this with the Google API, right? Like,
Right.
is it going to cost as per the Google like reverse geocoding
It won't
the
cost.
cost? Yeah,
Reverse
it's
geocoding, like the integration that we are doing wouldn't cost you.
it would not cost the organization, is it?
Yeah, like yeah, it would not cost.
Oh, okay, all right, that clears.
It would be for free. It's like a normal feature that, right?
Oh,
Like
okay, all right, got it.
cool. Yes. Do you have any ideas that or any problem statements that you want like you think integration can help and solve? That's extreme silence right now. Uh cool. Like can you like hey Suchi, like I don't know if you have already dropped off. I'll then send like a short poll if you can answer it. It would be very helpful for us to create more helpful webinars in future or pick better topics which are helpful. It will just take you 2 to 3 minutes to answer. meanwhile, we can also continue with the questions if you have.
How, I mean, this is a little nothing to do with what you're discussing. How are a lot of these organizations that is working with Glyphic, what's the general way, that method of onboarding people, of getting new people on the bot itself? Or is there another chatbot to onboard people?
No. So, like as I said, there are 4 to 5 regular methods. Like like I don't know. It depends a lot on different organizations. So
Mhm.
if you are actually like one the missed call where the other is through because like a lot of organizations are not in direct touch with their end users or they are in touch with their end users through a field worker or like volunteer, etc. So they have these smaller WhatsApp groups through which they share the link. Scanner generally is not like it works well for a few cases, but most of the times people are usually scared of to scan something and stuff. But keyword and the number is the most regular method. If you are able to take consent through some other platform, then that's much easier. Then you can actually do this bulk upload and then you initiate a message for all the users, but only if you have taken consent somewhere else. So yeah, these are the like very common methods, and few people have integrated. Like TAP is trying to integrate through their website. So yeah, different ways. Like, but these are like I think you know all the ways as of now.
Okay. So nothing out of nothing new on that front. Okay.
Maybe anybody else can answer that instead of me if you are doing something different which is working for you.
I mean, we don't know whether it'll work or not, but what we are trying is we are trying to send an SMS with the WhatsApp link and asking people, if they prefer to use WhatsApp, they can click on this link and, join the workflow. We are still trying, not yet implemented, but this is one of the method we are trying.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice.
I definitely like the model that Exotel used for you just give a missed call and then you automatically get a text. I think that is like the easiest way to get people on board.
That worked really well for Rebenefit and JJM Assam. Like they've got like really good registrations and onboarding was very quick.
Is it exotel.com? EXOTEL.com? Is that
Exotel.
one?
I can share the link.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Can you please give the feedback so that we'll be able to make, or in case you have any other suggestions for upcoming webinars, also please tell us suggestions or requirements. We'll be happy to.
I mean, I just added that note there. I think a couple of seconds of snippets of things, would even enhance a session. I believe. Like
Sure.
just a couple of seconds, 5-6 seconds, maybe. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
The session was very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Puneet. Cool. In case you don't have any other questions, you can drop off post giving the feedback.
You will share the PPT with us, right?